seen Barbara week after week here in our leadership role as the president of our club, and what a fabulous year. So let's have a round of applause. Okay, Barbara, come on, get your pin now. When I looked at and asked Barbara for her resume, I was very interested to get 4 pages. And the interesting part was the last 2 pages, not to my surprise, were all volunteer service work. When I think of Barbara, I think of the first word volunteer. But I'm going to tell you some things that I think maybe you don't know, or give you some background on Barbara that we don't see week after week or hear about. Barbara is a lifelong Holyoker, maybe you do know that. Went to Holyoke High School. I don't know much. I didn't get any tidbits from Fred about the early years. We did see her golf recently, so I don't think she's a participatory sport person. Girls softball came a little bit later on. But Barbara graduated from Holyoke High School, and then, as all good Irish Catholic girls do, went on to Boston College and majored in political science. Not a stretch for a person from Holyoke, because politics is like a sport here. So graduating from Boston College, she and Fred, her husband Fred Baran, who's with us today, stayed in the Boston area. I think it's probably the only time we've lived outside of the boundaries of Holyoke while Fred was finishing law school. And Barbara, I remember remarking to me some time ago, had a very interesting first job, had a friend at Mr. Kennedy, friend of the family. She put on her work boots and went to work as a real estate evaluator, whatever that means. We'll probably never know. She may never know either. But Barbara came back to Holyoke, where she and Fred started their family. They have 2 lovely children, Bridget, Kelsey, and Karina, all of whom are working today. So Barbara and Fred are very happy that they can't be, sad that they can't be here, but happy that they're all working. Barbara quickly immersed herself into community activities. Her children, given Fred's Polish heritage, attended the Monte Della Rosa School, and Barbara decided to join the PTO, become part of the parent-teacher organization, and quickly signed up for a couple of events. One of them included working at a fair. They were making food, they were cooking and baking, and Barbara went in and put her clothes on and started pitching pierogies, and got into conversations with the ladies of the Monte Della Rosa PTO, and somehow along the way it leaked out that she was of Irish heritage descent. And Barbara said the room went dead silent. They all looked at her, like, you know how to pinch pierogies? And she said, oh yeah, you know. Barbara kept going, and she is sure to this day that when she left that room, they checked every single one of them. She's absolutely sure. But Barbara actually stayed very involved with her children at the school, joined the PTO, became the president of the PTO, and actually continued on the Alumni Association. So her loyalty to organizations runs well beyond just a one-shot approach to an organization. Barbara then became involved in another one of her loves of her life, which is the Holyoke YMCA. She, after some various jobs in the community, joined the Y for approximately a 10-year stint and did just about everything. Novelist instructor to whatever it was, United Way campaign coordinator, Fifield campaign coordinator. She did everything possible that the Holyoke Y wanted her to do, and did it very well. Interesting to me, reading all the jobs that she did there, it was the babysitter, trainer, instructor that kind of jumped out. Interesting job type. Barbara still remains very active with the Holyoke Y today, even though she's transitioned to the Holyoke Credit Union, where she is the business and development officer, as well as the administrative assistant to Mike Murphy, kind enough to join us today. And Barbara remains on the board of the Holyoke Y, very involved in the Fifield campaign, and very active cog in the YMCA. I see Kathy being shaking her head, yes, very actively involved, very important part. But to mention a few other of the volunteer activities, because they go on and on. Pioneer Valley chapter of the Massachusetts Credit Union. Barbara's on the board of directors there. Massachusetts Credit for Life. You've heard Barbara champion an activity called the Credit for Life, where we work with high school students. I had the opportunity a couple of years of joining in for a year. And what a wonderful activity where you work with high school students, teach them economics, teach them about their credit, teach them about their checkbook. And Barbara is just so enthusiastic and a champion of that wonderful event. Has roped us in to help her out, and remains passionate about that, and I know we'll continue that for some time to come. In I get the year correct here, in 2010, Barbara also became deeply involved at the time of the Y, and since then with the Holyoke Chamber of Commerce, becoming an ambassador very quickly for them, cheerleader, going out, working in the community, championing the cause of the city of Holyoke, championing the cause of the Chamber of Commerce, leading the ambassadorial events. So not surprising that she received the Henry Fifield Award for outstanding volunteer leadership. That was an exciting day. I was happy to be there to see Barbara receive that award. And Barbara brought her love of the Chamber over to the Rotary. We became members of the Chamber this past year, and it's been a great affiliation. She brought that leadership with her, and we joined the Chamber as a Rotary Club, and now it's all working together. So Barbara, thank you for getting us involved in that. At Barbara's job at the Holyoke Credit Union, she's very involved in the community. Quickly, as we've known and we've seen in our community here in Holyoke, the Holyoke Credit Union has expanded to be beyond the boundaries of Holyoke, now into West Springfield, now into Agawam, and Barbara has not stopped her volunteers here in the community. I know for a fact she worked at the Taste of West Springfield. I know she, is out there taking her good works to other communities. When I was working with the committee in this election of Paul Harris, what dawned on me is that we first look at, and I think appropriate so, look strongly at our own leaders within our organization who are doing service in the community. What quickly I surmised was that Barbara would be a Paul Harris candidate whether she was with the Rotary or not. And I quickly felt that we are so fortunate here at the Holyoke Rotary that she joined us and brought her volunteerism spirit to us. She quickly became involved in the board of directors, worked her way up through the chairs, and had a wonderful year as a leader. I can share one more quick story. People know that my father is an attorney since the 1950s, but prior to that, Jack Moyarty, 1149 Dwight Street, I remember the number, if I'm correct. Barbara grew up with a family of 8, but Jack Moyarty was my family's attorney. And my family had the opportunity, through my grandfather, to purchase a local sporting goods store. And they went into the boardroom to battle it out, and Jack Moyarty came out with those sporting goods for my family, and he explained to my grandfather the bids were exactly the same. The money there was no difference in our bid and the other, but the difference was he convinced them that the sporting goods would stay in the city of Holyoke. He said, "You want to give it to Holyoke, or we'll keep it in Holyoke." 52 years later, my uncle is still operating the business here in Holyoke. Last year, I attended the district conference with Barbara and her husband Fred, and with Fred and I were chatting, we were talking about raising girls, and I said to Barbara, just nonchalantly, if you won the lottery, what would you do? Fred just looked at me and goes, "I know what you do, you spend it on Holyoke." Barbara loves the city, and it shows through in all the things that she does. Her community spirit really shines. So congratulations to Barbara and Paul Harris. Pin to the Paul Harris recipients. I've asked Fred if he would pin his wife. He pinned her many years ago. This is an outward sign of the distinguishment of being a Paul Harris fellow. And just ask Fred if